I'm Danny Gregory. Welcome to Draw With Me. And, sorry, my pulse is racing. At the last minute, Jenny raced in here with the Ethernet cable and said, the internet's terrible, plug in. So I just did. All right, good. So it's nice to see you all. And it's nice to see some new people too, and some people from far, far away. Who do we have here? We have Lou Gam, who is coming in from Melbourne, and David, who's coming in from Italy. That's nice. And Diane in Silver City, New Mexico, not too far from here. And Jen in the Philippines in the middle of the night. Thanks for getting up to draw with us. And of course, Dr. Octopus from Vienna. Wunderbar. Thank you all for being here. And Ludovine from France. So it's so nice to have everybody here. Good. All right. Everybody seems to be feeling like it's better. Good. Yeah, I tried something different with today's opening because I thought it's nice to have a kind of a bit of a preparation time. And, you know, if you get a notification from YouTube because you've subscribed, then you will have a minute or two to kind of get here. So, all right, good. I'm glad that that we are here together and that everything seems to be in order. Sorry, I'm blathering because I'm just trying to recompose myself. I had everything so together and then at the last minute. Last week was Thanksgiving, and we did a very nice exercise on last Thursday, which is to think about what we give thanks for. Whether you're in the United States celebrating Thanksgiving or not, it was an opportunity to say, you know what, these are the things that I'm glad about in my life. And I want to show you what we did last week. Here's some pages that you shared with us on social media from your list of things you're grateful for. I love the range of things that you're grateful for. I love seeing Twiggy appear in some people's lists. That's nice. And I like doing this kind of like simple little kind of almost cartoony sort of drawing in a list like this. So it isn't all about making some great piece of art. But then there were some that were just so beautiful that were incredible pieces of art, like that one I just saw that combined animals and pets. I'm sorry, animals and plants. It was slightly surreal and scary, but also really cool. Len and Tanis Moody, an art club in Apache Junction, and there are 10 members watching. That's so great. Apache Junction is not far from here, where I am in Phoenix, so it's nice to see some neighbors getting together and doing some drawing. So good. So this week we are sponsored by Hahnemühle, and specifically we're going to talk about the Harmony watercolor pads. You know, there's Hahnemühle makes fantastic paper. As you know, we talk about them a lot. They've sponsored us for years. But Harmony is really sort of their classic watercolor pad. It's not a sketchbook, it's a pad. And we're going to be giving away several of their pads. I'm not sure how many it is. Maybe JJ will tell me in the comments. But we're going to be giving away several to people who write in and say they would like to try. We have, I'm going to be using the hot press, which is smooth paper, but I think we're giving away some cold press paper as well. And yes, so if you would like to be included in the giveaway, write to us, DWM, that stands for Draw With Me, right? DWM at sketchbookschool.com. And send us your U.S. mailing address. It's got to be in the U.S. Because we're sponsored by Hahnemühle USA. What else? Tell us, if you'd like, what interests you about this. Trying out a new kind of watercolor paper is always exciting. And let us know if you have any particular thoughts about it. That helps us to make a selection because we want to give it to people who are especially interested. The focus is off. Huh. Interesting. All right. Well, we will continue to try and adjust things. I'm sorry that you're having a bit of a difficulty today. It's one of those days, I guess. So, yeah, I'm noticing it's a little slow here too. All right, well, that's neither here nor there. Well, it is here. It's probably not there. Let's just see. I'm just going to run a quick speed test and see what our connection is like. Should be up in a minute. But meanwhile, yes, and you can also write to us at our post office box if you prefer. We love getting mail from you, cards, whatever it is that you would like to share with us. You can always reach out to us at our post office box. So yeah, yes, the internet is very slow. That is not very good. That's too bad. I'm not quite sure what we should do. Low bandwidth pixelation. Not my favorite thing. Yeah, so it's probably us, and it's probably going to speed up a bit. It's starting to get faster already, I think. So let's keep going and see what happens. Or else we have to go away. Yeah, my connection is slow. That's a shame. I'm sorry about that. So we have two choices. We can stop, and we can meet again in 10 minutes. Should we do that? Or we can just carry on. Seems like some of you are having an okay time. So yeah, refresh your page, and that should work. Okay, good. All right, so I'm not going to stop in that case. I'm going to beaver on nonetheless, because you know, that's just the way it is with doing stuff, live streaming stuff on the internet. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. Usually it is good. All right, everybody's happy. Yes, so as I said, Hahnemühle's Harmony paper. It is, to me, my favorite watercolor paper. I use loads of it. I've made books out of it. It is, you know, it's a heavy. It's not a super heavy weight, but it's, what is it, 300 grams, and you know, that is. I use these relatively small pads. It comes obviously in lots of different size pads, and I'm not sure what size pad you will be getting if you send us your email address and your mailing address. Got to remember the mailing address. All right, moving on. It's one of those days. It's one of those mornings, clearly. Let's do some drawing and relax. Before we do, I want to just mention to you something which is my essays. I always talk about my essays at the end of each episode, and I never really tell you that much about them, as I wanted to just take 1 minute today to tell you a little bit more. I write these essays. In fact, I made a whole video last week explaining what it is that I'm doing with them, so you might want to see that video. I'll post a link to it here. But basically, I write an essay about something that is about the creative process, usually about my own creative process. Sometimes I write little pep talks to kind of kick you in the butt and say, hey, look at it this way. Maybe that will inspire you. I talk about the specific problems that we have as creative people, but I also talk about the glories and joys of making things. And I tell stories from my own experience or from artists who I love. Just try to inspire you to, keep going. It's free, and you can subscribe at dannysessays.com. I'm gratified that about 20,000 people subscribe to it so far, which is nice. And a lot of them read my essay and then they reply to the email and I get it and I write back to them. So it's nice. Fortunately, I don't get 20,000 emails a week, but whoever writes to me, I'm always glad to hear from you. So, and I also have another essay that I never talk about here, but I want to talk about today because I've just rebooted it, revamped it, and it is called Studio Notebook. And it's a little bit different because it's not free. It costs normally $7 a month for a weekly essay from me. And it's this extra special illustrated essay. But I'm now launching it so that you can have 50% off if you try it out. So for $3.50, cost of a cup of coffee, you will get these essays from me. And the new structure that I'm doing them is, I think, would be of interest to you because, first of all, the first week of the month, I do a tour of an old sketchbook of mine or a previous sketchbook of mine. I share all the pages. I talk about the materials that I use. I talk about my process, what I learned from it, stories about where I went. I'm just working on one now about my trip to China. And I just share, lots and lots of pictures so you can see and learn from what I've been experiencing. The second week, I write an essay about an art supply that I particularly love, and I go into exhaustive depth about what's cool about it, why I like it, and show you some examples of how I use it, and just really try and sort of, honestly, for my own sake, just to really think about and appreciate the stuff that I use and how I use it. The third week is a list of recommendations, an annotated list where I share books that I'm reading that I really love, websites that I think are interesting, videos, movies, inspiration of various kinds, stuff that inspires me. I call it things I like, and I think you will too. And so I send that annotated list out on the third week of the month. And the fourth week of the month, I give myself a challenge, some kind of weird experiment. It's a writing thing, it's a drawing thing, and I kind of just push myself to do something interesting. And I share what I've done, but also all the story behind the scenes of it. So those are the things that I'm doing in Studio Notebook. I can't wait. It starts next Tuesday, this new format. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And I'd love you to join me. If you want to, you can just try it out for a month. $3, $3.50. And there's a link in the description below because it's kind of a special link in order to give you the discount. So look below and you'll see that link. All right, we're done now. Today is an annual holiday. No, not today, actually tomorrow, December 1st, is what's called Day Without Art. And it is a thing that began in, I think, 1988. And what it is it's a way of bringing attention to AIDS, which, of course, in 1988 was an incredibly transformative plague. And it was robbing the world of so many great creative people who had this disease and were being killed by it in those days. And so they created Day Without Art to basically say, imagine if all these artists and creative people die because nobody is working on this disease, what a tragedy that will be. And a lot of museums since then have done, sometimes they've closed on what is now also called World AIDS Day, and they've just closed and they said, okay, we just want to remind you of this. But also, it's increasingly over the years, because it's now been, 35 years. It's become really a time to just raise awareness, and it's gone from being called Day Without Art to now it's called Day with Art, which is, again, to just celebrate the incredible accomplishments of people who have perhaps passed away. And it is just something, it's just an opportunity to kind of think about it, to think about, all the people who we lost, but also how easy it is to not worry about creative people, not worry about artists, not worry about different kinds of minority groups and what the consequences can be of that. So one of my favorite artists from that period, when this first began, was Keith Haring. And that's who I want to talk about today, and that's what I want to inspire us, is Keith Haring. I'm sure you're familiar with his work, even if you don't know his name. This is classic example of his stuff. It's a piece, it's a print actually called Retrospect. And I just remember living in New York in the 80s. Keith was a couple years older than me. And we were, we would start seeing his art in the mid 80s. No, even earlier. I just remember my very first job traveling on the subway to work, and there would be Keith's work in the subway. People would when they put up posters in the subway to advertise something, in between, before they put up the new posters, they would put up a sheet of black paper to cover the old ad, and those black pages would be up there in the subway, and he would come in with a piece of chalk and he would make art on these black pages in the subway. Nobody had ever heard of him. It was a sort of a form of gentle graffiti, and he just became sort of an icon in New York, I guess, or just somebody who everybody kind of knew. But what is this? You knew his work, but you didn't quite know who he was. And eventually, he became a well-established artist. He did so many murals, many of which are still up in the city. And they opened a thing called Pop Shop, which was a store that sold merchandise with his work on it, and gave all the proceeds. It was a nonprofit, and a lot of the proceeds went to support people. So I just felt like he was such an accessible, wonderful artist whose art was often about really important issues. And he lived, an authentic life where he shared his art and the proceeds from it with the public and with people in need. And ultimately, he passed away from AIDS, and so he became sort of, a symbol in a way. This is my Keith Haring shirt that I wear for World AIDS Day. But I just wanted to acknowledge him and also to be inspired by him with what we're going to do today. So let's have some fun today with Keith's work, and we're going to just do something really simple, I think, but that could be an opportunity for you to, explore and have some fun. All right, so here's my desk. Here's my Harmony pad. And what I've done is I've taken that thing of Retrospect and I've just cut it up into little pieces. So here's the first one. So I'm just taking the first three things, and I've made all of them. I have all of them here, and we can do as many as we feel like doing. But let's just copy them. But then let's use this. Let's explore how we can do something, with his inspiration, because it can just be so much fun. And I'm thinking color, because I've got this great watercolor paper, and I have so many different things of color that I want to play with. I have my acrylic paint pens that I might use. I have these Derwent Inktense blocks, and I have my pencils as well. So all these different great colors, and these Inktense become, when you use water on them, they become activated, and so you can paint with them. So I'm going to probably be doing some of that. I have, of course, my watercolor set right there. I have this set of edding pens that are markers that I'm going to play with. I have another set of edding brush pens that I'll play with. So lots of different things to work with. But first I'm going to start with, I think, just doing a drawing of, and trying to, as much as I can, copy the style and energy of this piece. So let's see what this is like. It's it's fairly simple, right? It's basically a stick figure, but I want to try and get it as close as I can to the exact angles and proportions of this original thing. And just taking my time. Take my time, think about it, think about the angle of this leg and this knee that comes back, and then this little foot, and then foot right here. And comes back and swings up. Here's his butt. Then swings down again. His leg comes back. Knee. And then his other knee. And swoop up. Go across. Go down. Little paw there. Elbow sticking up. All right, that's it. And then I'm going to draw this line, which is just above his ankle. Goes across there. Oh, I forgot this leg. Goes up. And then this side goes here. And see, I didn't finish drawing this rectangle because I wanted to make sure that it would fit with the figure inside. And then across. And then these little spots. I'm not going to exactly copy every spot of his. I'm going to just fill it with little spots. Oh yeah, I also have my Winsor Newton watercolor markers. Pull those guys out too. All right, and then, there's some sort of little exclamation marks over his head. Did I get how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I got that right. And then these little swoops down here. And then, yeah, that's it. All right. Ooh, I smudged it a bit. All right, so there's that first one. And I'm going to try these Inktense blocks. These are fun. And, you can, again, you don't have to you don't have to use his color scheme if you don't want to. I think for this first one, I'm going to try and be relatively close to the original. See, then I'm taking this water brush and I'm activating this Inktense block so that it becomes watercolor. Inktense, these colors are just so intense. Because I think it's like a different kind of pigment than you normally have in watercolors. I mean, I'm not sure what the ink part of Inktense is all about. I should ask those guys at Derwent sometime. But it is, I think, transparent enough so that it's not going to obscure my drawing. But it's so bright. I mean, it's really nice color. I like it. And all right. And then I have enough on my brush that I can just do this part without having to use the block. So yeah, that's reasonable. It's reasonable. I think his lines are even thicker than mine are. Maybe I'll use a brush pen for another one of these drawings. But and then I also have these Inktense pencils. I'm going to try using one of them for the yellow guy. Because I think it's the same basic material. Let's try as an experiment, actually. I'm going to take the block and do part of it. Yeah, see, it's exactly the same. The blocks are just, they're kind of really for bigger kinds of drawings. This drawing I'm doing is relatively small. I did not color properly within the lines, so so be it. It's funny because like Keith Haring's work has just been, it's just been around my whole life really, or my whole adult life. And it just, to me, it feels like New York. It feels like when I was a kid. But it never feels old. It always seems relevant to whatever's going on in the world, because it's joyful, very joyful, but it's not slight. It's not. It always feels like it's saying something important, I think. Even though it's initially just about fun and play. But he did work that was about racism, about drugs. He did the whole mural called Crack is Whack. And he obviously supported gay rights and AIDS awareness. So important, serious issues handled in a delightful, fun way. So it's nice to be reminded of that, reminded of Dr. Octopus is schooling us here, saying it is ink, not watercolor. The ink of Inktense pencils cannot be reactivated, right? So you wet it like this, and then you can't reactivate it. Whoops, you can mess it up though, as I just did. It cannot. In other words, once it's dried, it behaves like a layer of ink would, as opposed to watercolors that can continue to be reactivated after they've dried. So more permanent in that way. But again, these colors are just crazy, cray. So, all right. Next is using complementary colors, orange and blue. I'm gonna try it out with this. Try it out with this brush pen. And again, I'm not gonna close off the whole frame yet because I want to make sure. But I'm going to start here in the middle and come back, draw this little head. Something Matisse-like about this particular one, right? Matisse. Another guy who loved color. It's funny, I was going to do a demo using Matisse, and I looked, and the most famous Matisse, or the most popular Matisse that shows up on the internet when you search, is this thing of like a fishbowl. And the more I researched it, the more I discovered that it's actually not even a real Matisse. It's like some kind of a fake. I'll show it to you sometime. It's like a fake Matisse that somebody did. It was like a poster or something, but it becomes the most reproduced thing. That is the dicey thing about the internet sometimes, is it may, just because it's popular and you see a lot of references to it, doesn't always necessarily mean it's true. And that was the case with this Matisse fish bowl thing. Anyway. It's kind of faster with a brush pen. I don't know if the line quality is the same as Haring, though. It looks more brushy as opposed to... I mean, this particular image is a print. I guess a screen print, probably. And it's a bit different. So this brush thing is not quite correct. But let's try some watercolor now. And let's try a proper watercolor brush as well. All right, so gotta clean my palette. I was just doing a watercolor of my garden was it yesterday? Oh, yeah, yesterday. My palette is really filthy from all that. So yeah, so this is obviously a very different, this is going to be a different looking thing because I'm painting in watercolor and I drew it in a brush and my color is darker than Haring's. So it's just going to feel, it's not going to feel like quite as graphic. But that's part of the fun of this exercise, is doing variations on a theme like this and seeing what different materials, you know, what's the feeling, what's the intention of it? Does it feel, does it have a different emotion to it? Gotta be careful, I don't want this blue running. But Haring did this mural at the swimming pool right by our house, and it's still up there. They refresh it periodically, but it's really nice. And you just see him. He just becomes his work becomes part of the neighborhood. You know, I feel like even people who were born long after he passed away, still they know his work. They hopefully know that it's him. But he's just become a really a cultural icon. And lived on as a result. All right, so that's a very different looking thing. Yeah. All right. So I don't know if the brush pen is the answer. Maybe I could try this. I don't think these are waterproof though. Okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this editing brush, this sort of brush, a different kind of brush pen. It's more of a marker thing. So this is an Edding 1340 brush pen. Oh, it's nice and thick. Let's see. So I think I'll start here. Draw that little head. His head's are rounder than mine, but I'm trying not to go in and like course correct and redo it, because one of the hallmarks I think of his work is just the confidence. You know, it's like he isn't like going back and correcting it. He's just like, this is the way I draw people. And that is something that I think is kind of a key part of this whole style of his, is just confident lines that he's not overthinking them. So I'm going to have to think, if I'm not going to use water-based medium on this next one, maybe I could use watercolor pencils. Or I could just use more of these Edding markers. Just make the whole thing out of that. So it seems like that. I think the way to do this is to color in the background. I have this purple. It seems like it might be too intense though. No, that's about right actually. That's good. Okay, so yeah. So then we'll do the black dots on top of it afterwards. Just give this black line a chance to at least dry a bit so I don't smear it too much. But I think if you did all of the different images from this poster, if you did all of them, you would have Keith Haring living inside of you. And you would be able to start making your own Haring kind of critters doing stuff. You know, you'd know his visual vocabulary because you'd done, I think there's 24 Yeah, there's 24 little frames here in this particular poster, which is called Retrospect. You can Google it, Retrospect. And you see, as soon as I touch that black line, it smears. So I've got to be really, really careful. But this brush tip is nice and pointy, so it is. And this paper is just, it just takes whatever you throw at it. It's not mixed media paper. It's better quality even than that, but you can, I don't know, I use ink on it. I use obviously colored pencils and watercolor pencils, and of course watercolor and gouache. So I've tried lots of stuff on it. And now I'm trying these edding markers, which I've never, these are actually new. They're great for lettering. That's why I like to use them for lettering, but now I'm using them for drawing and coloring as well. It's because I like the childlike colors. You know, that's the thing. It's like there's like materials, art materials that are made for kids. They have really bold colors. You know, they're obviously designed to be safe, and they're not archival. So, all right. Well, that's that. I don't know how successful exact copy this is. Let me just see if I stretch it out. I put these side by side. Well, I got the proportions reasonably well, but definitely having a fatter line was good. But I think having a strong line was better. So, do I have an even fatter marker than this? No, the fattest marker I have is this one that I was using, which is an 01. Or excuse me, it's like a 1.0. 1.0. So that is a heavy draw liner. Do I have I think that was a 1.2, is there? No, there isn't. So yeah, so I think to get the best Haring effect, I probably need to do something like that. Or I need to draw them smaller. Maybe I need to draw them smaller. I'll try that. Draw it smaller using the same big pen so they'll still be bigger. All right, so that's that first set. I'm going to now close this and reveal the next one, which is this. Which is sort of an angel. And what else is an angel? And a little guy in the corner. It's like an angel insect butterfly person. Not sure exactly. Yeah. Libby says, do you think Haring did it in one swoop, or did he have draft? I've seen videos of him drawing, I mean, like those subway chalk things I said, and he just whipped it out, because this is his entire thing that he did. So I think he just did them very well. I think he probably had some, maybe he had an idea in mind, maybe he didn't. Maybe he didn't. So I'm going to try drawing it smaller and see if I feel like my line, because I just love this fat, juicy, round line of his. And, whoops. And that's definitely something I want to preserve. So I think he also did stuff with spray paint. So he would just draw a line with a can of spray paint. So there he definitely was he was committed right from the get-go to what he was doing. He wasn't like doing pencil sketches and stuff beforehand. I mean, in some ways he was a graffiti artist, but he was also, I mean, he went to Parsons, he studied art. I think he came from a pretty creative family. I think he was from, was it Ohio, I want to say? So his stuff is naive looking, but he definitely knew what he was doing. He's a little bit like Basquiat in that way. Basquiat, obviously, same time, but Basquiat was not trained as, did not go to art school as far as I know. These guys were also influenced by Warhol. All right, see, my proportions are off in this small one. It's more square, less rectangular. So yeah, the line thicknesses are about the same, but I think I like that earlier one better. So I don't know that I want to keep doing them this small. But I think I'm going to color it with intense again, maybe. Maybe I'll do it with this. These little markers, these little kind of fine liners. I'm going to do sort of like a hatchy one. Different approach. Less Haring-like, perhaps. I don't know, but maybe this is how he worked too. Maybe he did do like a little ballpoint pen drawing first. I imagine he used a sketchbook for some stuff. A lot of graffiti artists do have sketchbooks, and they work things out there and practice them. They don't just start by doing a 20-foot long subway car. Ooh, I don't have orange. Uh-oh, I have to deviate. I do have red and I do have yellow, so what if I try and make orange? Okay. Relatively unsuccessful. Yeah, all right. Well, that's probably not the way to do this, but I did. All right, so I want to move on. I want to get away from the memory of that particular version. I did not like it. So here's what I was thinking. What if I do it entirely with paint? So, EB is asking what size were they originally. Well, this is a print. So it's a print, so it's not very big. But there are ones, if you go to, there are ones that are entire walls, huge walls of buildings. So they're all different sizes. And Drew's asking about the mesh, he's asking what is the message of this? And I think they do. I mean, I don't know what the particular message of this one. It's called retrospect. So maybe it's just a retrospect of different images that he's made. But as JJ's pointing out, love, togetherness, and connection have always been his main message. And that's what a lot of this is about, people being together, people doing stuff together. And She also says, this is why there are so many depictions of his figures embracing, be that romantically or in a platonic way, with the lines surrounding their silhouettes evoking positive energy. That's really nice. Thank you for that. So here's what I'm thinking I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to do it in color. And then maybe I'll do line. What will that be like? Should I do it that way? Or maybe I should let's do color. I'm going to do color. Okay, this is going to be either good or bad. We'll see. So I apologize if you don't like the scritchy scratch. Okay, so I'm just going to do a color background, and then I'm going to do this figure in red. See, I decided not to. I'm just going to draw right over the other one, the other color. This is a technique that I think I've seen graffiti artists do, where you just kind of leave your line to last. You block in your colors. And orange. I don't have orange, so I'm going to do pink. So this is nice opaque color. So it's really got good coverage, so I can cover over previous colors without fear. And need a little bit more porpoise here. What's the porpoise of this drawing? And now this black is very big. It's a little scary. Start by drawing the outline. Yeah, it's a bit scary. It's a bit scary, this big fat black pen. I'm scared of it. I'm not going there. Not going there. I'm going to try the fine liner instead. All right, so yeah, so you see how the line coming in at the end like this, it's nice and sharp. And doesn't get overwhelmed by the color. My colors are not quite as good as Haring's are here. But definitely that line. I mean, if you compare that line to this line. This is the line where I was coloring over it, and this is the line where I do the color last. It definitely is punchier. Yikes. All right, well, that's still wet, so I don't want to ruin my pen by doing that. So, all right, well, that's another way of doing this. But I think we should go back to watercolor. We could try the same thing with watercolor, actually. Same approach. See how that goes. So, in other words, the same approach of doing the color first. All right, this is, do we have time for one more? Okay, I just want to try this with the watercolor. Sorry if I'm running a little over time, but I do want to try this. So this is one I'll probably have to finish when it's dry. So this is going to be a bit rushed. This is a cute one, though. What are they doing exactly? They're holding hands and becoming like a picture frame. I should have done the orange first and let it dry. But there's a lot of things I should have done in life, and I've decided not to regret my failings, but simply to embrace them and celebrate them. Because I have no choice anyway. Yeah, so there's that. And then let's put a bit of orange. See if can I create a worthy color? Yeah, that's not bad. It's in the ballpark. So what I can do is I can let this dry, and then I can go over it with that fine liner. Fine liners and watercolors can be friends. Fine liners aren't afraid of having watercolor painted over them. And watercolor, particularly if you're using a decent paper, you can draw right on top of the watercolor. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it gets too crumbly and crusty, but in this case, yeah. So then I can just let that dry and see what happens. Yeah, I'm going to put it, is that purple? Yeah, it is. All right, I'm going to let that dry. So I'll do that later on. I'll share it with you. I'll post it here on YouTube. All right. Well, God, we did a lot today. We rushed in here. We talked about paper. We talked about Haring. We talked about art. We talked about my essays. And then we knocked out, I don't know, I did half a dozen of these things. Feel free to do more. Again, if you want to get this particular image and look at it more carefully, it's called Retrospect by Keith Haring. Just Google that. And you'll see what happens. Okay. I think we're done. And we're, yes, we have 3 minutes left. Well, thank you. Again, if you'd like to try out this paper, please write to us and let us know what your mailing address is. I would love to see your Keith Harings so we can share them next week. So please post them on Facebook or on Instagram, SBS, that's the Sketchbook School, SBS, Draw With Me. Wherever you put them, we'll find them. My essays are free. I'm going to write one tomorrow and send it to you if you sign up today. And also my studio notebook, as I said, $3.50. It's the price of not even a latte, just like a regular cup of coffee at Starbucks. Oof, I froze. So yeah, $3.50 to see what I'm up to. Try it out for a month. It'll be fun. I look forward to seeing you there. I look forward to seeing you next week, next Thursday, here with excellent broadband, excellent connection. And thanks for joining me. Thanks for drawing with me. Have a great day.